guys, OPB here. Just coming at you with a quick video. Just got back from a little hike in a local woodland. Went about 3 kilometers down the road. Then saw signs for caution hunters. Don't feel like getting shot today. So let's not go down that road anymore, and I'm about to head back home. So what did I learn? One, the system I'm developing is almost the perfect weight. It's about 15 pounds. That does not have my shelter element in it. It's basically, and the shelter element I am going to put in there is just a tarp and a poncho liner and a poncho. On my person, I have my Buck 110, simple folding knife, and I have a Leatherman Wave. I have my first aid kit in one of my cargo pockets, which I took out of the bag. It's a Adventure medical kits 2.0, I think, that I've modified and put combat gauze, hyphen chest shields, compact splints, popsicle sticks if you break a finger, so on and so forth. In my other pocket, I've got about 500 feet of paracord. I'm wearing a set of Fall Raven Vita Pro pants, and I love these pants. They're great. It's kind of my bushcraft pants. Don't really want to ruin clothes, so I bought these. Got a good price on them. Got them 50% off, so it was a steal. These pants are expensive at full price. They're almost about $200 Canadian. I got them for about $120, taxes in. So I got a good deal off these pants. So I bought them. Notice a lot of people wearing them. They have good reviews, nice pockets. They're water resistant, not waterproof. So they do work very well. I do thoroughly enjoy them. As I was saying in the video I posted earlier, while I was walking on that trail, you have to be careful. For example, as I was saying, in a bug out situation, those hunters that are in there, they might not know that there's an issue going on. They could have been in there for 2-3 days and they don't know anything. So if they start seeing lots of movement in the woodlands and all that, there's gonna be issues. You don't want to get yourself shot. That's not a good idea. Now, granted, hopefully they know I'm a human, but I've had a cousin who got shot because they couldn't tell. It was dusk and it happened, right? Accidents happen. He was wearing orange and all that, full suit. He's just at the wrong place at the wrong time. So I don't want to be that. You're no good to anyone in a body bag. So always be careful when you're walking through the woodlands. Keep an eye out. Keep sign of hunters. On the way in, I started noticing orange marker tape, which hunters normally use, at least here, to mark ranges for the rifles. I thought it was kind of odd. Then I crossed the road up ahead. I saw a sign that said caution, hunters and tree stands ahead. So very respectable, very responsible hunters there for noting that. If they hadn't had that sign, I was already turning around when I saw it. But the orange markers on the trees don't necessarily mean much to anybody, because they also use those same markers for cutting, right? Some places they'll use spray paint. Some places they'll use orange marker tape. Now, when you're walking through the woods, I see people all the time while I'm out walking around, both on trails. They're speed walking, they're running through everything. If you don't have to, take your time. Take your time and pay attention to what you're seeing. Listen to the sounds you're hearing. This is not only a channel about preparedness, It's also one of bushcraft and one of, I don't want to say it because it sounds pretty hippie, but becoming one with nature. Know your surroundings. If you're just going to start blazing down a trail, and not pay attention to what's around you, there's no point of even being out there. Now, if you're training for speed through wooded areas, that's different altogether. But you still need to be observant. The more observant you are, the more likely you are to find resources. On my walk in, I found 3 different streams, all flowing water. One larger, which I'm assuming fed the 2 smaller ones, or vice versa. The 2 smaller ones could have joined in and fed the larger one. I didn't get far enough in there to realize and to notice what was what. But within 150 feet, I found 4 or 5 different shelter sites, which I'm going to be exploring more once hunting season's over for the year. They hunt this woodlands, so I can't really do much there right now because it is hunting season. Now I could go in there wearing full orange, but as I said earlier, things happen, and I don't want to be one of those things happening. I don't want to be a statistic, so I just stay out of the area unless I'm hunting in it. So I know that there's hunters there, so I left. And plus, me walking down around there, you're gonna spook some game animals that you don't even notice. Deer have extremely good hearing. So do moose. There's lots of those in there. So they're probably trying to get their moose tags filled for the year. I know somebody who got an 8-point buck in there, a whitetail. So there is big game in there. They do close off most of the roads because hunting is huge in that area. I hadn't thought that they were going to be in there already because season just opened up a couple weeks ago, but I guess they're eager. It is pretty local, out the middle of nowhere, so it's going to happen. There's a couple other wooded areas that I'm going to be going to check out. That one in particular, the reason why I wanted to explore it, I'll probably have to go back probably in the summer, take my mountain bike out and go explore, because there is an abandoned settlement out there in those woods. Now, it was built, I think 1804 it was built, so, and it's still standing. It's all original. It's not maintained or anything like that, but from what I've seen, it's in decent condition, and it would be interesting to see the way it's been left. There's lots of things to learn. For example, I'm actually just passing a house that they pulled out of there right now. So there's an old house that belonged to a baker that they pulled out of there log by log. They're all old log cabins, obviously. Dovetail grooves and all that. Some of them are saddle notched, but not very many. They're mostly dovetail. Up around this area, I've noticed most of the old log homes, they are dovetailed, not saddle notching. Further north, saddle notching, I've noticed, is huge. There's lots of log homes up there still that are saddle notched. But anyways, that old home that belonged to the baker, her husband was the sawmill owner, and so they got one of the old saws, the saw wheels, from the lumber mill that used to be down there. Amazing little bit of history for the local area, and they somewhat maintain it. They maintain them enough that they're not going to fall apart. They don't just leave them out there to die, kind of thing. They do keep an eye on them. If things start going bad, they do fundraisers to repair it. There's no map telling you where it is, but it is in there. They have confirmed it's in there, so I'm wondering whether or not it's hidden back in there or if it's too dangerous to get to. Nobody I know seen it other than the people that work there. So they do have fundraisers for it, so I'm questioning if it's even there. But judging by the house they pulled out, something's in there. So it'd be kind of interesting to know what's in there. So I'm gonna go and explore that later on. Me being a little bit of a history nut for that time frame, it's interesting to see how they lived as a prepper and a bushcraft enthusiast. You gotta think to yourself how they did things back then. For now, example, I'm driving my Ram 1500, right? So how did they get around? Like, I know they used horses and sleighs and all that. My great grandfathers rode a horse to school for years because they were too poor, they couldn't afford a car. And we're talking about into the 50s, right? Well, not 50s, but mid 40s at least. For example, my grandfather was born in 1952. He rode a horse to school. It lived in an area where it was still very common. Actually, here where I live now, it's still extremely common. On my way to work the other day, I actually passed about 5 or 6 people riding horses, and that's how they get to work. It's not because they're poor, it's just the way of life, right? There's lots of ranches around here and riding schools and all that. So it's very common. There's a couple of historic villages that I'll be going to see in the summer. One of them is down near Kingston, Ontario. It's called Upper Canada Village, I believe. My ancestors that first came to Canada in 1811 were in the British military. He was a captain or a major in the First Royal Scots. So he was in the cavalry, and he was sent here as a officer to train the Canadian militia, and while he was on leave from fighting Napoleon. Okay, so a little bit of history there. And one of the locations where he served and fought in the War of 1812 was the Battle of Chrysler's Farm. And the Battle of Chrysler's Farm actually took place right next to where Upper Canada Village is. So, no offense to any of my American friends out there, but that's where we stopped you and we sent you packing back home during the War of 1812. You guys put up a good fight up until that point, but once we got our beavers going, that was it. Right? Broke out the Plaid and pulled on our skidoo boots and off we went. And all joking aside, love my neighbors to the south, but those jokes are too good. Sorry for the noise, guys. I'm just about to cross the train tracks. Anyway, so as I was saying before, we just got our first snowfall here. Well, first snowfall is going to stick around. We got about 8 centimeters of snow last night. In certain areas we got 10, certain areas we got 5. Back where I live, it was about 5. Out where I was just walking, exploring the woodland a little bit until I came across the hunters that were in the area, so I left. Don't feel like getting shot, as I keep saying. That's bad for your health. There was about 10, 12 centimeters out there. I don't know what that is in inches, I'm sorry. So, my American friends out there, my apologies. Way less than a foot, I'll tell you that much. It's only about up to my ankle, not much. That was one snowfall. Now, here we tend to get almost up to my knee on a average winter. I'm 6 foot, so it's about 3 feet in some areas and 1.5 foot in another area that tend to stick around. You know, you get that melt, the runoff and all that. So there's a decent amount of snow. Speaking of which, if you live in a northern climate, your vehicle's ready to go. I know not many people cover that topic, but you need to ensure that your vehicles are ready to go. Make sure that you have winter tires on. Make sure that your vehicles are up to snuff, so to speak. There's needs to be washer fluid both filled in your vehicle, extras in your back seat or in your trunk. Make sure your heat is good in your vehicle, because should something happen and you gotta wait in your vehicle or stay in your vehicle is your shelter. Remember that. So having a full tank of gas, or at least a half a tank, I prefer not to let it get below 3/4 of a tank, is vital, both to your survival and to you staying warm and going the distance. Now I keep, as I was saying, at least 3/4 of a tank of gas. I'm actually at that right now, so I'm gonna have to fuel up. Number one, a quarter tank of gas is $30 to fill in my truck, as opposed to a fuel light on, which is about a $90 fill up. So it hurts the pocketbook a little less every time you fill, and you always have extra gas. Now, on the topic of fuel stores, I like to keep at least 30 liters of fuel in the bed of the truck in gas cans, locked up, tied down to the vehicle. They're not sliding all over the place. In the wintertime, I do keep a couple of bags of salt in the bed. I also keep a couple of sandbags. Anyone who's driven a truck in deep snow knows that unless you're in 4x, your ass end likes to, apologize for the language, the end likes to swing out on you. So keep that in mind when you are driving. Don't hammer down like you would normally. Now the roads are dry right now, but if there was significant snowfall on the roads, you got to be careful. One of my friends this morning, before they cleared the roads, he was on his way to work, and he's got the same truck as me. He hit a little bit of slush and it pulled him right off the road. Okay, he wasn't going fast. The roads are just extremely greasy. It happens, guys. He hit a tree and he messed up his bumper pretty bad, but the truck's okay. He's okay. All good. But and I warned him. I said, better get new tires on that vehicle, man. He likes to run irregular street tires on a truck. I am not that person. All-terrain or winter tires. All-terrains are my preferred. You should have a set of winter tires to your vehicle. I don't run winter tires. I do have a set. If the snow's really bad, I'll throw them on, but there's not really a need. Because what people don't understand is all-terrain tires are rated for the snow. Okay, it's all-terrain. The M plus S on the side of your tire means mud plus snow, not multi plus surface, which is what a lot of people think. And 3-season tires, if you're driving in the winter, do not drive with those. Okay, I know people who only drive with all-season tires and they swear by them. Buy a set of winter tires, slap them on, drive them through the winter, you'll never go back. That's all I'm saying. Okay. A little bit of insider info. I am an auto mechanic. There is going to be a tire shortage. We can't get tires. At least not where I'm at. We can get oddball sizes. We can get a couple of common sizes. Passenger car sizes. Hit and miss. Pickup truck tires. It's not happening anymore. Our suppliers are all out of stock. The only tires we can get are for transport trucks, which are good. so don't have to worry about the truckers stopping. But passenger cars, trucks, SUVs, slim pickings, guys. Even if you wanted a new set of all-season tires, I can't get them. We can't get them. So, if you do what I do and you're smart, when someone's got more money than brains, as I like to say, and throws out a set of tires that still have 830 seconds of tread on them, just because he bought new ones, doesn't think about keeping them as a spare set, I scoop those up, right? Because I know come spring, there's a lot of people out there with bald summer tires. Yeah, your storage facilities and all that, your sheds, under your tarps, they might look a little bit janky for the first little bit, but come springtime, you're gonna be thankful you have those. For two reasons. One, they might fit your own vehicles, right? Two, you can sell them. That's money just waiting to be made. For example, in the bed of my truck right now, I've got two sets of tires. One is at 830 seconds of tread. Customer threw them out. Didn't want them anymore. So, it's just free pickings for us, right? If we want them, we can take them. So I took those. Now, I personally strongly advised the customer to keep them. He was insistent. I have nowhere to store them. Throw them out. Okay, man. By throw them out, I mean put them right in the back of my pickup truck, and they're going home. So those are a set of 17-inch all-season tires. I also have another set sitting at work right now, which are 20-inch road tires, or what I call them, daily driver tires. That'll fit my truck. They're actually off the exact same truck I have. Okay. So I know for a fact that I have an extra set of tires on top of the other set, two sets I already have. What I tend to do is when my tires get to about 7 or 830 seconds, I pull them off and I buy new ones. Since I do run all-terrain tires, the depth on those tend to go from anywhere from 20-30 seconds down to 14-30 seconds, depending on the brand you got. So they last a good long time, especially if you're just daily driving, towing the average thing, do your proper tire rotations. Everything's gonna wear perfectly fine, nice and even, and you'll get about 4 to 5 years out of a set of tires. Another thing people don't realize, your vehicle's great. You know how many times I see people come in who drive Chevy Silverados? Anything Chevy. Chevys are the worst for it. Second on the line is Ford. They're pretty bad for it too. With rim leaks, which means where the bead of your tire is sitting on your rim, corrosion builds up there from water and salt, dirt, debris sitting in there, and it builds this almost like battery acid. If you've ever had a battery leak on you, not like on your actual person, because I've had that and it hurts, but just like, let's say you leave battery in a flashlight for too long, you know, like green whitish paste powder that's on there, that's corrosion. Okay, that same thing happens around the rim on the rim of your wheel assembly, which is a tire and a rim. Okay, that's called a wheel. That corrosion buildup will cause leaks. I don't know how common it is in the States, but here in Canada, it's all over the place. Chevys are the worst I've seen for it yet. I've been in the trade now for about 10 years. So if you drive a Chevy, I strongly recommend once a year you get your tires at least taken off and cleaned. you go in and you ask for a reseal, your mechanic will, on your tires and rims, they'll bust the tires down, take them off the rims, clean them up, check your valve stems. If you don't have sensors, they'll replace the valve stems. If you do have sensors, they'll replace those valve stems too, depending on the type of valve. Sometimes it's just a rubber O-ring, sometimes it's a full rubber valve. If you do have the ones that are what I call screw type valve sensors, they're common on Toyotas, Chrysler. They it's like a 12 or a 14 millimeter socket goes over top of it. It's those are extremely common to seize, so I recommend changing those valves out to rubber valves. They're a lot more resilient. They take a beating and they won't break on you. So it's something to keep in mind, because in an SHTF situation, the last thing you need is your freaking tires not to be sealed, and you're driving and all of a sudden I got 5 psi left in my tires. What are you gonna do? Sure, you can keep filling them up, but you don't have to stop every 200-300 kilometers. Just fill them up. Your vehicle's going to be out of action real quick, right? Because you can only drive so long on a deflated tire before the sidewalls are destroyed and you can't use that tire anymore. You don't want to be driving on too low of air pressure at high speeds. Now, if you are trying to go off-road, you can air down your tires to a certain point and create a greater surface area, which then creates better traction, more flex in the tire, yada yada yada. That is a thing, you can do that, but not at high speeds. It doesn't take much for a tire to get chewed up. 5 or 6 rotations of the tire is all it needs. So keep that in mind. Inside you'll see almost like a ground rubber material if you take it off. If you see that, check the sidewalls of your tires. They're probably going to be chewed up. Sometimes it's just from an old patch job or whatever. The mechanic was sloppy and he didn't clean out. So keep that in mind.